The parking lot was nearly empty when the first employee arrived. It was still dark, the kind of hour when the day has not fully begun and the night has not completely let go. A black Nissan sat in one of the spaces, engine cold, lights off. It did not stand out. It did not demand attention. It looked like any other car left behind by someone who planned to come back later, but no one did. When police would later reconstruct what happened, they would focus on distance. This parking lot was almost an hour away from where Diana Duvet lived. An hour away from her routines. An hour away from the places where people would instinctively look for her. Inside the car, nothing appeared immediately wrong. The doors were locked. The windows intact. There was no sign of a struggle in plain view. And yet, this vehicle had not arrived here by accident.
Her name is Diana Duvet.
Diana was 26 years old, a nurse. Someone whose days were spent caring for people at their most vulnerable. The last time her mother heard from her was in the early hours of the morning. A short message, written in Russian. It said only that she would not be coming home. After that, there was silence.
I didn't wait for her that night. When I got up in the morning, there is a text message there. Mom, I'm not coming home tonight. I texted her, Diana, where you at? Call me.
By the time her mother walked into the police station to report her missing, something else had already begun to trouble investigators. Diana was gone.
She's my everything. I need her back. Just come home. Everybody love you. Everybody misses you terribly.
All I cared about, find her. Where is my daughter? Where is Diana?
You can see the sheer fear and panic in Lena's eyes. I said, Lena, I promise you, I'm gonna get your daughter back for you one way or another.
Before her name became part of an investigation, Diana Duvet lived a life defined by routine and responsibility.
She's highly intelligent, always motivated.
She was 26 years old and worked as a nurse, specializing in oncology.
She really, really cared about her patients, about patients' families.
But people close to her said she was deeply committed to it. She showed up, she stayed late, she cared. Diana had not grown up in the place she would eventually call home. She was born in Moldova and moved to Florida as a teenager after her mother remarried.
A girl that didn't speak English at all. Within 2 months, she was in a regular school class. In a few years, you couldn't even guess that she's not American.
By the time she graduated college with her nursing degree, she was fully integrated into the life she had built. Friends described her as social and warm, someone who made connections easily. She had a wide circle, moved comfortably between different groups of people, and rarely struggled to be liked. To those around her, she appeared independent and capable, the kind of person who could manage both her career and her personal life without much drama. It was through the local bar scene that Diana met Michael Jones. Michael was older, in his early 30s, and carried himself with confidence. He had a law degree and worked in wealth management, overseeing large sums of money for clients.
Mike told me that he was a trust attorney for PNC Wealth Management.
He handled a lot of multi-million-dollar accounts. A lot of people trusted him with a lot of money.
I first met Mike Jones at a networking luncheon. He was a charming guy.
Colleagues viewed him as competent and professional. On the surface, there was little reason to question him.
He was extremely polite, nice dressed, well-spoken.
Seemed like the ideal boyfriend.
The relationship moved quickly. Within months, Diana and Michael were living together in his apartment in Vero Beach. To outsiders, it looked like a stable step forward.
She seemed happy, so we were okay with it.
But among friends, there were subtle observations that did not fully align with that image. Some noticed that Michael seemed more invested than Diana, that he pursued her persistently in the early stages, that winning her over had taken effort. These details did not register as warning signs at the time. By the spring of 2014, their shared life appeared settled. Diana was working full-time. Michael was established in his career. They lived together, socialized together, and moved through public spaces as a couple. And yet, beneath that surface, the balance was not as even as it appeared. Those closest to Diana would later reflect on how little they truly knew about what happened behind closed doors.
There was a time where we were getting lunch. I remember she wanted to go somewhere where Mike wasn't going to see her or run into her or see her car. It was almost as if she would have been in trouble getting lunch with me.
Friends would later describe Michael Jones as jealous and controlling, though those words only gained weight after everything else had happened. At the time, his behavior was often dismissed as intensity. One evening, weeks before Diana disappeared, that intensity became visible to others. At a local bar called The Grove, Diana spoke briefly with another man. It was casual, a short conversation, nothing more than the kind of interaction that happens in crowded places. But Michael noticed, and his reaction was immediate. Witnesses recalled the shift in his demeanor, his posture, his tone, the way he confronted the man, not with curiosity, but with hostility. It was unnecessary, overblown. The situation was diffused by others before it escalated further, but the impression lingered. This was not someone who handled perceived threats calmly. Days later, Diana and Michael walked into a restaurant called Scampy Grill for dinner. The staff recognized them, not because they were regulars, but because of the earlier encounter at the bar. From the moment they sat down, something felt wrong.
I went up to the table to introduce myself. They seemed a little on edge.
Did you know him at that time?
No, we had seen him. Actually, one of the employees here, Kevin, and I had encountered him Friday
When
night.
you say him, who are you talking about?
Michael.
Okay. You talking about Michael Jones?
Yes, sir. Okay. We were at the Grove having a couple beverages after work, and Kevin made contact with the girlfriend at the time, and just casual conversation, and he came up with attitude and stuff, and we were already a few drinks into the night, and we're like, this is garbage, so we're on a long day, let's just leave it at that and go home. So we did. We left it at that and went home. So when they came in Wednesday night, Kevin was working with me, and he goes, "That guy look familiar to you?" I'm like, "Yeah, he does." He goes, "That's the guy from the Grove that tried to get into it with me." You could visibly see that something was going on with her. The demeanor didn't change at all. And I looked through service window at the table every so often just to check on them, and you could see that there was agitation between the two of them. I was talking to Kevin about it too. I'm like, "Dude, that is not a happy table." I'm like, "There's a lot of agitation going on." And he noticed it too.
Would you say that he's aggressive with her?
Oh, the way he was talking to her? Absolutely. His body motion was absolutely aggressive.
They left the restaurant together that night. About an hour later, Michael returned to the Grove alone. A friend who saw him there noticed that he was emotional, crying, distraught in a way that felt out of place in a public bar. It was the kind of behavior that suggested something had gone seriously wrong, that a private moment had spilled into the open. By later accounts,
I saw Mike Jones on Wednesday, and he was sitting by himself. He was texting on his phone, and then he left shortly thereafter. But I just thought it was really bizarre behavior for him to be so upset in public. I got the impression that he'd been given some really bad news.
the dinner at Scampy Grill marked a turning point, a breakup, a decision made quietly, without witnesses, but heavy enough to leave visible cracks. What no one knew then was whether that ending had truly been accepted by both people involved. From the outside, it looked like the relationship was unraveling. From the inside, something far more unstable may have already taken hold. The tension that surfaced in public had already existed behind closed doors. Months earlier, the relationship between Diana and Michael had fractured in a way few people initially understood. In April, a heated argument inside their home escalated beyond raised voices. Michael yelled. He made threats. The situation became serious enough that a neighbor, hearing the disturbance, called 911.
It's been going on for about an hour.
Just been yelling and screaming, or?
Yeah, it just sounds like he's trying to dominate the crap out of her.
So it's just been verbal, right?
Verbal. I can't hear any slaps or anything, but I'll tell you, it's not good.
Diana did not stay silent that night. She reached out to her closest friend, Chelsea, hysterical and frightened.
She called me in tears, leaving his apartment. I told her to just come straight to where I was, and she did. And she was still in her pajamas, hysterical. She was explaining that he was screaming at her, that it had been going on for what felt like hours, and he just wasn't letting up. And if he finally got to the point where he had put his hands around her neck and started strangling her, I could clearly see that there were marks on her neck.
Evidence that the argument had crossed into physical violence. Photos were taken. The incident was documented.
I need to document this. I need to protect her. She just wanted to move her things out and remove herself from the situation, and that's what we did.
Diana moved back in with her parents and did not tell them that Jones had tried to strangle her.
I think she was just trying to protect me so I wouldn't worry. And she thought that she handled it. In her mind, it was over.
For a period, they stopped speaking, but time passed. Distance softened urgency, and slowly, contact resumed. Friends would later say that when Diana and Michael got back together, things seemed calmer, normal, as if the earlier violence had been an exception rather than a warning. Not everyone was convinced. Another friend, Kyle, described Michael as controlling and quick to anger. He said he tried to warn Diana, sensing something in Michael that felt unstable. His concern was not abstract. He had experienced it himself. At a bar, Kyle greeted Diana with a brief hug, nothing more. Michael saw it. And once again, his reaction was immediate. He confronted Kyle, fists clenched, moving toward him with clear aggression. Kyle later gave the following statement to investigators.
And he pursued again with aggression, more aggression, to try to fight me.
What exactly say to you, Kyle?
Didn't really say nothing, just stared at me and started walking towards me like with anger.
Did he have his fists?
Yes, fists were clenched. He was ready to fight. Out of rage and jealousy, not much. I believe, it was a while back, but I believe he said, "Get that fuck off her." And it was a simple hug as a friend.
Okay, would you say he's got some jealousy issues?
Yes.
Yet even with these warning signs, life continued. Diana went to work. She socialized. She made plans. From the outside, there was no visible crisis unfolding in real time. What existed instead was something more dangerous, a history that had not been resolved, a cycle that had not been broken. And as June approached its final weeks, the consequences of that cycle were about to surface. On the night everything shifted, there was no public argument, no raised voices that drew attention, just a sequence of ordinary moments that would later carry unbearable weight.
Diana was out with some friends. They described her as enjoying herself, but she was texting a lot. They just felt like it was a little out of the ordinary.
Diana and Michael went out together again. Despite what had happened days earlier, despite the tension and the apparent breakup,
she left her friends and then went and met up with Mike Jones at another establishment. It's called What a Tavern. They appeared to be having a good time, as in having quite a few drinks. At one point, it appeared as though she was crying and visibly upset, but then kind of not. And when they were leaving, the bar staff said, "Are you guys okay to get home?" It was around 1:30 a.m. Mike said, "I'm going to drive her home, don't worry about it."
Michael paid the tab with his credit card. They left. It was the last confirmed sighting of Diana Duvet while she was alive. She walked out of the bar and got into her car with the man she had recently tried to leave behind. Sometime after that, Diana sent a message to her mother. It was brief, written in Russian, the language she used when speaking to her family.
I didn't wait for her that night. When I got up in the morning, there is text message there. "Mom, I'm not coming home tonight." I texted her, "Diana, where you at? Call me."
Diana did not show up for work. Calls went unanswered. Her phone stayed silent. As concern spread, attention turned to the place where she had last been known to stay, the apartment she shared with Michael.
We want to find Diana. We want to reunite her with her parents. We want to make sure she's okay. Officers responded, knocked on the door, made contact with both Diana and Mike Jones.
We did get a search warrant that day to get into Michael Jones's apartment to try to collect physical evidence or find Diana, and hopefully it'd be, next to nothing.
When police entered the residence, it felt strangely untouched. No sign of a struggle, no overturned furniture.
We didn't find a lot, but we didn't find any belongings that we felt were Diana's. We didn't find any sign of her.
But both cars were gone. And in the garage, near the base of the door, investigators noticed small droplets on the floor. They appeared dark, irregular, out of place. Michael was gone as well. The man who had told Diana's mother that she was sleeping at his house stopped answering his phone.
We're in a million different directions trying to find her and him. His phone has been turned off. Her phone is now turned off.
Once the missing person report was filed, the search for Diana shifted quickly from concern to urgency. Detectives began by tracing the last known movements of both Diana and Michael. The apartment offered little in the way of immediate answers. It was quiet, orderly, almost deliberately so. but the absence of both vehicles raised questions that could not be ignored. Alerts were sent out across the state. Not long after, Michael's gold Mazda was located in the parking lot of a Hampton Inn in Fort Pierce. It was an unexpected find. Surveillance footage showed him checking in alone. He paid in cash. He instructed staff not to put any calls through and not to tell anyone he was there. Another call came in. Diana's black Nissan had been found in the parking lot of a public supermarket in Melbourne, nearly an hour from her home. When officers opened the trunk, the search ended. Diana's body was inside. She was dressed only in her underwear. The medical examiner would later determine that she had suffered blunt force trauma to the head and had been strangled. She had likely been dead for days. Investigators now focused on how the car arrived there and how the person who left it managed to leave.
And I opened the door, and here's Chief Police in complete uniform.
The saddest thing in my life was seeing him come up the driveway.
And he told me they found her. They found her. To lose her like this, it's indescribable.
Put my head down. It was not the way I wanted to find her.
Anybody that got a chance to meet Diana knows that she just brought a smile to their face and was a bright spot in their life. You get to know who people are, and she's one of those people that you won't find anybody that has anything bad to say about her. You could see from the outreach from the community that just speaks volumes of who she was. It's a devastating loss.
A Publix employee reported seeing the Nissan pull into the lot just before dawn. She could not identify the driver.
So I said, well, I seen when the cars pulled up, I was sitting in my car. And the bakery manager, she said, what, you seen the cars pull up? Which day? And I was like, so it was either Saturday or Friday. It was like 4:45 in the morning, because I can't either like 4:45 and I sit in my car.
Did you see who was driving the black vehicle?
No.
That uncertainty led detectives to a different conclusion. Whoever abandoned the car needed transportation away from the scene. Local taxi companies were contacted.
So we just started cold calling some of these taxi agencies. And I said, hey, did you get a fare to Vero in the last couple of days? And man, we hit one. And I was like, wow, that's just that doesn't happen every day. So we got lucky on that one.
One report stood out. A driver from Black Diamond Taxi.
I showed up and there was a guy outside with a red hoodie on. And he got in the passenger side of the vehicle.
During the drive, the passenger explained that he had come down with a friend.
I asked him questions like what brought you down here? And he said, oh, well, I came here with a friend of mine, and so then I asked him, I said, how come you didn't get a ride back with your friend to Vero Beach? And he said, well, they got into an argument and she's very pissed with him.
The taxi dropped him off in Vero Beach, directly across from the apartment Diana had shared with Michael. When shown a photo lineup, the driver identified Michael Jones. Further evidence followed. Investigators discovered that Michael had purchased a burner phone early that same morning at a Walmart in Palm Bay. Surveillance cameras captured him arriving alone in Diana's Nissan.
It's a little grainy, but it appeared to be Diana's car.
Entering the store, buying the phone, and leaving. Diana was not seen with him. The timeline narrowed, the movements aligned. The silence from Michael took on a different meaning. What had once looked like disappearance now looked deliberate, and the pieces, placed carefully side by side, were no longer pointing in multiple directions. They were pointing to one person. Michael Jones was formally charged with first-degree murder within days of the discovery of Diana's body. He was held without bond. From the moment of his arrest, he refused to speak further with investigators.
He didn't show any emotion. He didn't ask any more questions. He just sat there.
You there, Mike?
Yeah, I request my right to counsel. Turn the right to remain silent.
Okay, we have nothing else to say to you.
I want to point out to you, the first time we talked to you, we were there to talk to you about a missing person, okay? Now we're here to talk to you about the murder, okay? That being said, I'm going to go ahead and read you Miranda rights. You understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Using my right to silence and unequivocally requesting my right to counsel.
So you don't want to talk to us?
I request my right to counsel.
Okay. That's all you had to say to us.
As the case moved forward, more of Michael's past came into focus. Former partners described patterns of control, jealousy, and emotional manipulation. Records revealed a prior felony conviction for aggravated stalking involving another ex-girlfriend.
911, what is your emergency?
This is the 911 emergency call made by Michael's ex-girlfriend asking for help.
My ex-boyfriend just called me and told me that he had packed his gun. And then as soon as I walk outside, the gunshot will go off in my head. What happened? My ex-boyfriend threatened to kill himself tonight. And then when I told him that we were not getting back together, he told me he would kill me. I'm very afraid. I've seen him angry before.
Details that once seemed disconnected now formed a consistent picture. Michael entered a plea of not guilty. When the trial began years later, the courtroom became the final place where Diana's life and death would be examined in full. Prosecutors laid out a timeline built on movement, surveillance footage, witness testimony, and forensic evidence. They argued that Diana had been killed intentionally, then transported, concealed, and abandoned. The sequence, they said, was not the result of panic, but of choice. The defense offered a different explanation. They claimed the evidence was circumstantial. They suggested that Diana's injuries could have been accidental, that she might have been alive when placed in the trunk, and that Michael's actions afterward were driven by fear rather than intent. A medical expert testified that the blunt force injury alone could have caused death. Under cross-examination, even that expert conceded a critical point. Diana's death was best classified as a homicide. Michael Jones chose not to testify. Whatever explanation he might have offered was never spoken aloud. The jury deliberated for less than an hour before returning a verdict of guilty on the charge of first-degree murder. In the sentencing phase, prosecutors sought the death penalty. Diana's mother addressed the court.
I still can't talk about Diana, just too painful. But I know I have to do it so you, that loved you, only you would know what I and my family lost. She was only 26 years old and had such a wonderful plans for her young life. These unfulfilled plans will haunt me for the rest of my days.
When the jury voted, 11 jurors supported a sentence of death, one did not. Under Florida law, unanimity was required. Because that unanimity was not reached, the death penalty could not be imposed.
The jury unanimously find that the defendant, Michael Jones, should be sentenced to death. No.
You came to my home, you sit at my table, and you took my daughter away from me. There is no punishment, no harsh enough for what you took from me. You know, if he could kill, he would be dead now for what you took from me.
In November 2019, Michael David Jones was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The legal process ended there, the damage did not. When the courtroom emptied and the sentence was finalized, the case did not truly end for those who had known Diana. Her mother spoke of a future that would never arrive.
I'll never go to my daughter's wedding. I will never hug her again. And nobody will ever call me mom again. I will never see her in her wedding dress. And I will never have grandchildren I hoped for.
No ordinary milestones that marked the passing of time. What remained instead was absence, measured not in years, but in moments that would never happen. For the people who had worked alongside Diana, the loss was quieter, but no less permanent.
Anybody that got a chance to meet Diana knows that she just brought a smile to their face and was a bright spot in their life. She was never anybody to shy away from the things that we wanted to do over there, and she was just a gamer and an awesome person all around. You get to know who people are, and she's one of those people that you won't find anybody that has anything bad to say about her.
A nurse who did not return to her shift, a familiar presence missing from hallways and break rooms, a reminder that violence does not always announce itself loudly before it strikes. Michael Jones would spend the rest of his life in prison, stripped of the career, the image, and the control he once worked to maintain.
He's still gonna die in jail, one way or another, and he's never gonna hurt another girl again.